Hey, everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. And we are going to talk some dirt that's in the Second Amendment and try to bring it to light and let you know about what's going on with Guns Out TV. Before we jump into that, I want to thank our sponsor today. It's Blackout Coffee. It's a pro-America, pro-troop, pro-vet company that's based here in America, small batch, roasted every day from an actual family that lives in America. You can check them out here at blackoutcoffee.com/GNG, and you can always save an extra 10% off with code GNG10. Thank you, Blackout Coffee, for supporting this channel. Now let's talk about our friends here at Guns Out TV. Guys, first off, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I know you guys are superstars, man, and everybody wants to talk to y'all, but let's do some quick intros. John, why don't you tell everybody who you are, a little bit about your background so they can understand what's going on with you and who you are and how you get into guns.
So I'm John Keys, co-host of Guns Out TV. I'm a 12-year Marine Corps veteran. I did 12 years of active duty, served overseas. I'm not a combat veteran, and I like to clarify that with everybody because, you know, I love my combat veterans. I support my combat veterans. Done a lot of work with combat veterans, and I know it means something just a little different. It's a little extra that you give, obviously, you know, in most cases, a lot extra. But yeah, 12-year Marine Corps veteran. And oddly enough, I just bought my first firearm last March of 2020 because, you know, a lot of people, they misunderstand that when you're a military person, unless you're an infantryman or a special ops or, you know, some type of deployable individual, you don't keep your firearms with you. You don't get issued it, take it to your barracks, things like that. They teach you firearms aren't to play with, and you get, you know, highly supervised anytime you use it, qualifying year over year with the rifle and the pistol. So with that being said, when I got out, I didn't really have an inclination to purchase a firearm, obviously, with all of the craziness last year. I went and I made the move. I made the splash, only to find out that the firearms community is vast and the nuances are even more vast, and it fits right in with my OCD personality. So it worked out really great. I went from a pistol and a rifle to several pistols and rifles in literally probably like 2 months. And then I started, you know, doing customizations and ordering all of these kits and different things. Talked about it with Sir Michael for, you know, a few times, found out that he was also a firearms enthusiast and a 2A supporter. So we talked about it and we collaborated, and then Guns Out was born. That's the very short version as it pertains to my side. But we'll go further in as we talk.
Absolutely, man. First off, thank you for your service. I was prior military as well in U.S. Navy, so appreciate you.
And thank you for yours too, Jared. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Sure, Michael, my man. Same to you, brother. Tell everybody about you, a little bit about your background and how you got into the firearm area.
Yeah, Jared, thanks for having me on the show. I am a huge fan and have been for a while now, and I always read your comments. So I'm anxious, actually, I got to tell you, man, I'm anxious to see what your viewers are going to say about this particular episode. So thanks so much for having us on the show. So as Jared said, I'm Sir Michael Singleton. My background started in politics. I was a political strategist on the Republican side for a long, long time, starting my presidential campaigns with Newt Gingrich my senior year in college, and most recently with Dr. Ben Carson, who was the Secretary of Department of Housing and Urban Development under President Trump, for which I was also the youngest Deputy Chief of Staff appointed ever in HUD's history. Fast forward to Guns Out TV. I started out shooting, Jared, as a kid in the South. That's a normal thing. You're a Southerner, fishing, shooting. It's just a part of the process. And it wasn't until I got much, much older that I guess something that you enjoy with your granddad and your brothers and your cousins sort of became an obsession. And I started getting into it at a whole new level, trained for IDPA, competitive shooting, did a lot of things with the NRA as far as shooting regularly, almost on an everyday basis with some of their very well-known instructors. And clearly being a conservative, being a Republican, 2A has always been sort of a part of something that I've always supported, at least in the political and policy realm. But it wasn't necessarily something I focused so much on as far as being an active shooter. Again, experience doing it, but didn't fall in love with it the way I am now until I got much older. Clearly, you get older, you spend your own money, you can do whatever you want to do. And that was sort of my case as I aged. And so fast forward to Guns Out TV, John and I worked together in some various capacities, met him when I was working with Dr. Carson when he was running for president. And we never really sort of bonded together until much, much later on. And one day John was just like, hey, bro, we should go shooting together. And we did. And out of nowhere, he said, maybe we should do a YouTube channel. I thought about it, wasn't really sure because I had a lot of other things going on. And he said, well, let's just give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And we did it. And that leads us to getting onto TV. And this happened, man, in probably like 60 days. And as someone who has a lot of TV experience, it never happens that fast, getting anything on TV. And then you're talking about a gun show with live firing. I mean, we sort of jumped over every possible loop, if you will. And when we did something that I think is unprecedented. I mean, the last time there was a gun show with live firing on broadcast television, Jared, I think was like 25 or 30 years ago. And here you have two black guys doing something that no one else has been able to accomplish. And so I got to say, I give all credit to John for saying, bro, I think we should give this a shot, because if he didn't come to me saying, let's try it out, I probably wouldn't have thought about it. And we did. And I'm glad we did, because here we are sitting here talking with you.
I mean, that's awesome. You guys, first off, for everybody out there, the Second Amendment community, the gun community, no matter what you want to call it, the gun culture, you're going to find, as you're new to it, it's a very welcoming group. We're not like the stigma where everybody says, we're evil, self-centered people. It's even when I got into doing this channel, it's easy to reach out to people and get help and get brought in and make you feel like you belong. So I'm hoping that this will open you guys up to more people in the community, because when I was asked, the first thing I said was, yeah, man, let's get them on the show. Let's see what we can do to help them. And also, we all have another little part that binds us all together is y'all used to live in Louisiana. I used to live in New Orleans for a while. So I got to help out my brothers from Louisiana. So
appreciate that, Jared. Appreciate that.
Appreciate
anytime,
that,
man. So let's talk about Guns Out TV. All right. So you started. What was the hope? What was the target audience? And what did you guys want this show to accomplish? John,
you want to take that, or you want me to jump in?
Yeah. I'll do the fun stuff, and I'll let you do the statistical stuff. So I mean, you got to be honest, man. It's very funny because he gave the credit to me to want to start this. I got to give the credit to my wife, because she saw my progression with the love of firearms when I bought the first set, the rifle and the pistol. I mean, it literally changed from a rifle and a pistol, and we just would go to a regular indoor range to, we found a friend that had a big mass of land, and we would drive almost 2 hours on pretty much every Saturday we could make it to go to this massive property. And we bought a whole bunch of stuff from Home Depot and built a range, built our own 100-yard range out there. And after 2 times of doing that, she was like, you need to be filming this. I'm like, for what? And then she's like, because this is interesting. I can't believe you just did this. And you've only been doing it for a month. And so I was like, I guess, but I never got around to it. So lo and behold, one day she came out there with a camera and she filmed it. We just went, did what we did. She filmed it. And everyone we showed was like, wow, this is actually really cool. So with that being said, we saw the opportunity there. And the one thing that we talked about, Shermichael and I, was that when we go to the range, we see a lot of novice shooters. We see so many people that you could tell that this is their first time going to a gun range. With that being said, there was a concern there. And then we also saw an opportunity to educate. So, and one of the best ways to educate is through entertainment, because you have people's attention. Right. So with those two things coming together, and his vast media background, we literally thought that this was something that we could manage on our own, and we did. We put it together. We did our first. I mean, if you just saw how we shot this first episode that we did, it was so random and impromptu, but it came together so great. And then I finally understood what it meant to be a real content creator, and I love it. And I've been a student of the game from Shermichael ever since we started, and each episode just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I agree. Shermichael, you had anything to add to that?
I mean, yeah, no, John is 100% correct. And again, we only started this off as just a YouTube thing. And it's just so funny how this happened to get on TV. And I'm just going to tell this story. So I had a show titled Global Perspective that was actually supposed to air in the time slot that Guns Out eventually aired on via Sinclair Broadcast Group. I had a co-host at the time. I have experienced hosting television and digital shows with co-hosts. it's something, Jared, that I'm going to be honest, I don't like. I'm very, very particular and picky about the way I like to do things, especially as it pertains to politics and policy and how nuanced I like to be. So it didn't work out. I ended up telling my mentor, who partners with Sinclair Broadcast Group and ownership, I was like, this isn't working for me. I have no interest in continuing this show with this particular person unless I can do it by myself. Nothing against the person, just didn't work for me. He said, well, I can't do this. I've already promised her that she's going to be a part of the show. And I said, okay, that's fine. I just won't do the show anymore. And he said, well, that's not going to work because you have the vast majority of the television experience. So he ended up canceling the show. And I said, well, why don't you just give me my own show in the time slot? My mentor being my mentor. I don't know if you're quite ready for that yet. Maybe a little more experience doing your own thing. And I said, well, you got to put something in the time slot. And then I said, well, what about Guns Out TV? And he was like, well, I don't know about that. Have you guys even shot anything? I said, well, why don't you call John? John comes into the office. We talk about what we're doing. We talk about how far we've come so far. He take a little sneak peek of one of the episodes we filmed for YouTube. And he said, all right, I think you guys got something here. We're going to put it on TV. And it literally happened like that. I mean, literally that fast. There was no loops and hoops that we had to jump through. It wasn't, well, we got to put this before a board of people, or we need a treatment first, which is usually the process for TV. Let's look at a treatment, production costs, etc. Let's get some polling out, and then we'll see if there's a market for this. He instantly knew after he saw the show, particularly John and I chemistry together. He said, okay, you guys got something. There is nothing like this out there. Let's put it on air. Let's see where it's going to go. And that's how we ended up getting on TV.
That's awesome, man. For those guys and gals watching it, this is a Cinderella story. It doesn't happen like that. Like Michael said, it takes a long time and a lot of dollar bills to even get them to consider it. So my hat's off to you, man. You caught your boss on the right day, I guess.
I got to give credit to Armstrong Williams, Jared. I don't know if you know him or not. African-American guy, long time, very well-known Black conservative. Traces his days all the way back to Clarence Thomas, Ronald Reagan, and a whole bunch of other well-known conservatives, many that have passed on now, like Strom Thurmond out of South Carolina. But just a solid guy, gave us the opportunity. And like I said, he fast-tracked it. And I just can't put enough emphasis on how this just never happens. I have had tons of meetings, man, with different entities trying to do my own political type shows, and made it all the way up to like the vice presidents of some of these networks, CNBC, BET, and others. And they liked it, but you know what? We don't want to get into politics, or we don't know about the cost. And it took almost a year just to finally make it to that height. We fast tracked all of that in probably about a month, maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
That says a lot. And see, there's another Louisiana hook, because Justice Thomas's mother lived in New Orleans, 2 blocks.
That's right.
Must be something about the South, man.
Yeah, man, this was meant to be, man. This is the new thing. All right, so Sinclair knew they had something. They put it up lickety split, and it actually made it to the market. So let's for the people who aren't familiar with Sinclair, what is that market? What does it entail? Who saw the show?
Yeah, so Sinclair Broadcast Group is the largest entity that owns broadcast television stations within the United States, and they are pretty publicly known, particularly in the media industry, as being conservative or right-leaning by quote-unquote liberals, if you will. They're the largest. They represent, I want to say, about 71% of the television market in the country. WGLA ABC 7 is one of their flagship stations. It's an ABC affiliate. It airs in Maryland, D.C., and parts of Northern Virginia. And according to Nielsen reports, this is the 7th largest television market in the entire country. So we're not talking about, some small market in a little bitty town. We're talking about the 7th largest market where all of the power brokers and their staffers are. So it was a big deal. Then secondly, you're talking about an ABC affiliate, not a random affiliate, ABC, which we all know ABC. It's been around forever. And so they gave us the opportunity. 3 episodes aired. The 4th one was supposed to air before the cancellation. And the show was viewed again in Maryland, all of D.C., and various parts of Northern Virginia. You're talking about, I want to say, 2+ million viewers in the entire area.
And that's extremely impressive and important. Why I said that is because so how I was turned on to Guns Out, I got a message from my buddy Eric Pratt. Eric Pratt he's the executive vice president of Gun Owners of America, and sent me the link. Said, check this out. What do you think? And it was the first episode you guys had, and you had me. I mean, I was impressed with the way you guys work together well. B, obviously you knew what you're talking about, and C, the editing was pretty good. I mean, the editing caught people's eye, dragged people in, and held people, which is what you want. Mm-hmm. So I shot him a message back, said this is pretty cool, and before I knew it, you guys got canceled. So tell a little bit from your side. You know, was it how many episodes came out, and then how they notified you that you were canceled, and then we'll talk about that a little.
So we were 3 episodes in. 3 episodes actually aired within that time slot. And then for the 4th episode at the beginning of the week, we got the notification that that episode was not going to air because of the meeting.
John, you got to tell Jared how this happened. Please get into like the nuances of this.
No, I'll let you get into it because you tell it way better than I do. Go ahead, Sir Michael. I know you're ready to go. Let's do it.
Because Jared, John, I mean, I don't know if it was early in the morning, it was something crazy.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. Tell that part, John.
Okay, yeah. So here's the funny thing. Shermichael is on it when it comes to communication through Guns Out. So when we're communicating through Guns Out, can you still hear me?
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, great. Yeah, when you're communicating through Guns Out, we both share an email. It goes to info@gunsOut, right? And he's always reading the emails before I read the emails every single time. And sometimes he'll mark it back as unread so I can make sure I catch it. So I wake up in the morning. It's probably like 5:30 in the morning. I wake up and I see an unread email. So I just know Shermichael read it, right? So then I go ahead and read it, and I'm like, show is not going to air. What? And so then I text Shermichael. So I take it I called him. He didn't pick up. So then I text him. I take it you saw the email. And I didn't say anything because I figured that if he saw it, he addressed it. If he didn't call me right away, then he must know something that I don't. So that's why I didn't spaz out. So I was like, I take it you saw the email. I guess you'll tell me what's going on. And then he calls me like maybe an hour or so later. Hey, John, what's up? I saw you call me and text me. I said, yeah, you didn't see that email? He said, no, John, I didn't see any email. I said, Shermichael, please go read your email. He read the email, and I felt like I heard his Tesla like stop in the middle of the street. And I was like, he was like, John, why didn't you call me? I said, Shermichael, I did call you, and I texted. Like, no, John, you wake me up. You call me, you ring my phone until I pick up. I say, Shermichael, that's pretty impossible because when you don't want to be reached, you're not going to be reached. So anyway, he finally picked up, and we finally got on the same page. And then it was World War III after that.
So what were the reasons they gave, or did they give any reasons to back up the decision to cut something that obviously in that market, let's be honest, in that market, to have a gun show with 2 black males, you are destroying a stereotype, just killing a stereotype. Mm-hmm. So what was the reason that they decided that this couldn't work?
I mean, the reason they gave to us was this is not a good time to air a gun show.
Yeah, that was the official statement.
That was just a reason. And I presume, and I don't know why, but I presume it has something to do with what happened at the Capitol, which I'm not sure how that translates to what John and I were doing with Guns Out, which was educational, informative, and having a great time with guns, trying to break down stereotypes. And then 3, Jared, I got to say, the DMV area, and for folks who don't know, that means DC, Maryland, Virginia, has a large African-American population. If your audience isn't aware, African-Americans were the leading demographic of new firearm purchasers in all of 2020. So you're talking about millions of new gun owners who are new to the process. They're looking for content to learn, to be entertained. And so we realized, as John said earlier on, we realized there is a huge market here where you're going to have everyone in the firearms industry, from manufacturers to groups like GOA, who's still a sponsor, which we're very thankful for, trying to figure out how do we reach these 2-3 million new gun owners. We don't necessarily know how to deliver things in a way that they may find it receptive. And John and I said, we know how to do this. It's our community. We know what they're going to want. And we know, generally speaking, what other people who are not African-American are also going to want and enjoy. And so it just didn't make any logical sense for why would you cancel the show because it's not a good time for a gun show. And then my response was, if it's not a good time now, then is there ever a good time? Because if they would have allowed us to continue now, I can only imagine, Jared, that the first school shooting, they'd have said, well, we got to move the show. We got to pull it off because it's now not a good time. So from my perspective, I don't think there ever would have been a good time. And I think that's sad and unfortunate.
Now, and for those who are wondering how big this new gun owner community, especially of color, there are at least 8 million new gun owners since just before the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And of that, at least 60% are Black and or woman. Mm-hmm. So the two largest groups we have are the African-American community and the female community. Mm-hmm. And so you're in an area of the country that demographic is right there waiting. It's a low-hanging fruit for you guys to knock out of the park. So I assume that Sinclair gave you statistics or rating reasons as why you were canceled, right? They must have said something, right?
No, there was no statistics, no ratings reason. And based on the massive amounts of emails and messages we received through social media as we were growing, of people reaching out. I mean, Jared, I told John this on my Instagram. I had an African-American woman who lives in the area. She's like, I watched the show. She was like, now, I support you because I think you're a smart young Black man and I'm always proud. But she's like, I don't always agree with your Republican views, but I'm always supporting Black woman. And we're messaging back and forth on Instagram. And she said, but I watched the show and I really liked the show. I'm not a gun person, but now you guys got me wanting to go buy a gun. I mean, and I can't imagine how many other people like that, Jared, that we could have potentially reached as the show continued to grow in prominence. And as people began to catch on, like, oh, there's a gun show coming on every Sunday at 1 o'clock. Let me watch it. We don't know. But based on a few messages that we got, phone calls we received, I can only imagine, man, that this show could have reached unlimited heights on television. With that said, they gave us no statistical or analytical reasons for why. And from my opinion, I don't think there were any analytical reasons outside of new climate, new administration. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We got to take this off air.
Yeah, you can't have something that's 100% pro-gun in a targeted community that is now buying guns at a rate that hasn't been seen during an anti-gun administration. You just can't have that.
Right. Definitely goes against the narrative.
Absolutely.
So, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean, Jared, you and I talked about this, man. You were a police officer. And you know very well, based on some of the places you've worked in, and John and I know as African-American men, the stereotypes of Black men with firearms. And so usually, it's usual, I should say, rather, for the media, generally speaking, to portray African-American men in a very, even Hollywood, a very negative light. It's gang banging, it's robbing people. If it's a Black man with a gun, grab your children and get the hell out of there. And John and I say, well, while every community has a subset of people who are going to do stupid stuff, let's be honest, every community, we want to portray the overwhelming majority who are hardworking Americans, go to work, take care of their families, believe in the Second Amendment. Maybe they aren't Republican. That's a whole nother conversation. Working on that, though, Jared, right? But they believe in the Second Amendment, and they believe in the right to keep and bear arms as enshrined in our Constitution. Absolutely. We need to be representative of the overwhelming majority. So again, why in the world would a major entity represent 70% of the television market not say, you know what, we got something special here? Regardless of what people may say on the left about guns, we want to showcase that little percentage of violence that you're talking about, it exists. We got to address it. There are a whole lot of reasons why that does not represent the overwhelming majority of Black people or gun owners in general. Let's knock those stereotypes out of the park. Just didn't make, it was nonsensical to me how amazing of an opportunity they had to do that, and they threw it in the trash.
And that's why one of the reasons I'm glad you guys agreed to come on here. Because like I said, when I watched that first episode, that's what I said. I was like, boom, this is it. It's the right target. It's the right time. And it's the right duo because you guys play well together. And I knew it was going to be something. And then they got canceled. So with that said, the show must go on. So how can people watch and or support Guns Out TV?
Well, as we talked about pre-show, we're still on YouTube, and now we've actually been brought over to Recoil TV. Shermichael, I'll let you talk more in detail about that. But we will have our content new episodes weekly on Recall, and then we'll have episodes following on YouTube as well. And then we'll also have specific content just for YouTube. We're also talking to a lot of other content creators to try to do collaborations with them, Guns Out and some of the other well-known content contributors in the firearms community. So we will absolutely continue. I mean, we have a lot of amazing stuff that we're really excited for our audience and people who don't even know who we are yet to see. If you like what's out there right now, then definitely stay tuned, because I mean, once this happened, or actually when this happened, we had already kicked the brakes off of our production value. I mean, we went to a whole nother level with it. And I think I speak for both me and Shermichael when I say we're very excited for, the world at large to see what it is that we've been able to create.
Yep.
Now, excuse me 1 second before you jump into this, Shermichael. I want to say that I personally think that the cancellation of your show is the best thing that ever happened to you.
I agree.
And things are going to pop off for you guys. I really do. Like those who are watching, I'm gonna have links down below to the YouTube channel. Sub them up. Let's get them into the algorithm. And I also want to take this opportunity, because I know you're going to talk about this. I want to thank Big Daddy Unlimited. Big Daddy Unlimited is a supporter of Guns and Gadgets. They've been very good to me and my family. So check them out. I can't put the links down below because you can't do too much freedom with the written word on YouTube, but it's bigdaddyunlimited.com/guns-and-gadgets and check them out. And, 99 cents for the first month. You can buy all kinds of stuff. You'll save a ton of money. If you want to stay on, stay on. If you don't, you can cancel at any time. But Big Daddy Unlimited is a fantastic group. And let's talk about where you go from here.
Yeah, no, BDU has been great, and we do have an affiliate code, and we do ask people. We will have that code underneath every one of our videos, just like you said, to support Guns and Gadgets. Clearly, I encourage people to keep doing that, because if they didn't, we wouldn't be here. And so, Jared, again, we are very appreciative for it. But we would also ask, if people don't mind, if you haven't subbed to Jared's link, we have one, and we would ask you guys to please go to the YouTube page and do so if you haven't. Every amount, every cost, right? It's expensive to do a gun show. And so every little amount that comes in affords us to continue to do what we're doing. Gun Owners of America is still on board with us. They're still a sponsor, and we're so appreciative for them. But we're constantly trying to bring the content to the next level, and to be able to do that in a way where the audience has a great appreciation. And if I can say, Jared, just quickly, as it pertains to Sinclair, there were people in Sinclair Broadcast Group who definitely wanted the show to continue. And I want to give thanks to those individuals, some very high up people, without saying their names for obvious reasons. But I want to say we appreciate you guys for trying. It didn't work out in our favor, but we appreciate it. And we also appreciate Armstrong Williams for doing the best he could to keep the show on air. And it is what it is. But you know what, Jared, like you said, man, the best thing that happened to us was getting canceled, because I think what it showcases, Jared, and I'm going to put on my political hat here for just a quick minute, is that conservatives or conservative-leaning people, we must stand up for what we believe. You cannot continue to cower to people who are going to continue to beat and knock you into submission because your views aren't their views. Right. Now, as conservatives, we've always believed that you don't have to have our beliefs, just respect our right to maintain them. But on the other side, it's if you don't have our beliefs, we will not respect your right to maintain something different. We got to stop bowing down to these people, man. At some point, we got to draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. We've compromised enough. There are some values that are too pertinent to who we are as Americans, like the Second Amendment, that we just can't be willing to compromise on, my friend. And as an African-American, you would think, as a quote-unquote minority group, as some folks like to refer to us as, I hate that word because there's nothing minor about me or John or anybody else for that matter, but they love to say these people are so vulnerable. Well, if we're so vulnerable, allow us to have the right to bear arms without restricting certain weapons because you believe we don't have a right to own them, or you believe the magazine is too high in capacity. Again, conservatives, at some point, we got to stand up, and I think that time is now.
So
100%.
Real quick, if I could add to that, because that's real. What he just said is really important on so many levels. You know, we were just in Houston, Texas, and I was buying a puppy for my wife in a little puppy shop, right? And it's a little dog shop, bunch of little dogs running around, and the owner was this woman and her two daughters, and they were running the shop. And when they found out I had on my Guns Out shirt, so they asked about it. I told them what was going on. I was part of the show and XYZ. So then it was like, wow, we gotta get Dad down here. You gotta meet our father. So the dad comes down, and when I told him about the show and what it was about, man, he was so appreciative of what we were bringing to the table, because he said his words were, my colleagues and friends and I have been looking for people to align with in order to get the message out, to let them know that this is how we protect our businesses and our families and our loved ones. And then he gave me this story about somebody tried to come in one time. Two people came into the store. One person came in to look at the puppies, and this one other person was hanging out by the door, right? And somebody tried to actually grab up a couple puppies and run out of the door. And he was luckily there with a firearm and able to stop them. He only had to draw his firearm. He didn't have to discharge a round. But the fact that he had protection and he was able to protect his family and his business, that's why he didn't suffer that loss in that moment. And I mean, listen, the people got away. He didn't even have to involve the authorities or anything like that. It was completely deaded right there by a responsible gun owner. And that's what this is about. This is about responsible gun ownership, and not the narrative that we keep seeing where you see these radicals and these people toting guns, in public foolishly, and saying all of these very aggressive messages. Gun owners aren't that aggressive. A lot of gun owners are mostly chill people, because guess what? They own a gun. They can protect themselves. They know how to use a firearm. You know what I'm saying? So this is just something that, we've really been adamant about trying to capture on the show, to show the inclusive nature of regular people within the firearms community. Some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And all they want to do is share their experience with you, learn from you, and learn together.
Right. That's right. I'd add to that gun owners, lawful gun owners, are as relaxed as possible, because we're doing everything we can to avoid conflict. Because the last thing we want to do is to have to employ a force that might end something for somebody. If anything, we're more reserved than we should be, which is a positive to have that type of control, from a lawful gun owner.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So you got canceled. Best thing to happen for you. Starting to gain some traction. Where does Guns Out go from here? We talked about where you're going to be first, and then you're going to follow up with YouTube. But what's the big picture right now? What's the direction?
John, can I jump in on this one?
Absolutely.
So, John, if I'm getting too far, tell me to stop, because I get too excited about this. So, the long-term goal, Jared, is, and John and I are in agreement on this, and I guess this may change. It depends on what happens with linear TV versus digital, of course, because a lot of the linear, and for your audience, they don't know what linear is. That's the ABCs, the CBSs, the cable news shows. That's stuff you can watch through a cable box. Digital is everything you see on YouTube, Netflix, etc. A lot of them are starting to transition to digital, so we're going to see what happens with that space. But the real ultimate goal, man, is for us to get on cable. That's the goal. I think about like a Duck Dynasty on A&E. I think about a station like a Spike TV or an HBO or Showtime. And I see something like Guns Out on one of those platforms mentioning how important the gun community is, how wide it is, how important it is as being an important cornerstone in American democracy as we know it. And again, that depends on what happens. It seems that everything's transitioning digital. And if that is the case, we are going to stay digital, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to expand. But the ultimate goal is to continue to build this thing out in a way where we reach as many people as possible. Because as John said early on, Jared, if you normalize this, you entertain people, and then you educate them, it becomes a gateway drug. And you slowly begin to change people's minds about certain things. And for our 2A supporters and advocates out there, you guys know what is more important than expanding the tent and reaching as many people as possible to educate them and say, we need you to join us to be supporters of the Second Amendment, because the more of us it is, the more difficult it's going to be for those individuals out there who want to restrict our Second Amendment right. And that's what we want to do. Reach as many people, reel them in, educate them. And like I said, it becomes a gateway drug.
Absolutely. I agree, and I think it's perfect time because cancel culture is real, as you guys just found out, and we've talked before. They tried with me as well, and it's time for us all to pull together. As you're learning, the gun community is the most fractured special interest group there is. Whether it's 9 versus 45, Glock versus Sig. If we can get our head out of the sand and pull together, we can absolutely be an unstoppable force. Because the last thing that the powers that be are trying to mold this country into what they want it to be. The last thing they want is for minority groups to have blacks and Spanish people and Asians and women to jump up and say, no, this is our right too. Because, and you guys will agree, correct me if I'm wrong, but for far too long, a gun owner has been portrayed as the old white guy in the NRA.
No, that's
and
right.
It's just,
that's right.
It isn't that. It isn't that. And more people need to know that.
No,
so thank you for doing what you do.
They need to see it. And Jared, when I think about owning a firearm, right? We talk about discipline. You talk about responsibility. You talk about the necessity to be calm, in very hostile situations. All of these values, if you will, are transferable to other aspects of your life, to marriage, to family, if you're a mother or father, to being able to deal in the workplace a lot better. I mean, I don't know if we ever think about the nuances of the things that we learn as gun owners and how transferable they are to other aspects of our lives. So just imagine you're taking a young, troubled teen and say, you know what? Everybody loves action movies. So we're going to teach this guy how to shoot guns. We're going to educate him on the Second Amendment. He's still young. We can help mold him into something great as he continues to age. And then you teach them that everything you're learning when you're with your instructor, everything you're learning about the Constitution and all of your rights are things that you can carry as you continue on throughout life. And so to that point, we as gun owners, we don't have the room to be fractured. Let me say that again. We do not have the room to not be on the same page. Because let me tell you something. The individuals who want to restrict our right, they are counting on our ability to say, you know what, I'm a 9 guy versus a 40 guy, or I'm an open carry guy versus a concealed carry. We don't have the room, folks. And let me tell you something. If we continue to be asleep at the wheel, we're going to wake up tomorrow and have all types of ludicrous restrictions that restrict our right to keep and bear arms. We can't allow that to happen. And so, Jared, I have to encourage people, get over the small things. We got to get on the same page. We'll deal with those differences later on. But if we don't get on the same page, we're going to lose a lot of our valuable rights. And let me tell you something. If you study history, when people take things away, it becomes hard as heck to get them back.
Get it back, yeah.
100%, man. We're on the same page. We just got to get the people to realize that they're the most powerful asset we have.
Absolutely.
And to your point, man, and you can actually use this in every facet of your life. When I first started getting into guns, I had to learn that laser focus on that front sight to make sure everything else was just out of my mind and watch that front sight. Mm-hmm. And that is that's an invaluable tool in life as general. Whether it's a hostile situation, you need to have calm focus, or you have a kid who's in the middle of a meltdown or whatever, and you need to stay focused. You insert scenario here, and that's just something you learn from pressing a trigger.
That's right.
It just absolutely transcends many, many levels of life, but people don't like them because they're scary. So we have to kill that as far as the outlook of the anti-gunners. And I'm glad that you guys are on here doing your thing, because I think that Guns Out TV absolutely helps achieve that goal. So my hat's off to you all. Congratulations on what you're doing. I am 100% behind you. If there's anything I can do to help you out, feel free. With that said, guys, how does the person watching this right now, we have them, they're like, all right, let me check these guys out. How can they find you on whatever platforms?
Well, the quickest way is to go to gunsouttv.com. That's our website. Our website literally has everywhere you can find us on the same homepage. Now, obviously, Recoil TV. Recoil is the app. You download the app, and you'll be able to find us. You search us up, Guns Out TV. We might actually be right on the front little scroll bar there as new content. And where else, Michael?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Guns Out TV. One word, at Guns Out TV. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We encourage you guys to please follow us. We need as much support as possible. I mean, we are sort of unicorns, mid unicorns, if you will.
Yeah.
And so to have the support of people who are open-minded, people who get what we're trying to accomplish is just invaluable. And even if you just like a show or leave a comment, we can't ask for anything more, man. Support goes a long way, Jared, as you know, and we are internally grateful to get any amount of it that comes our way.
Absolutely.
Well,
I will tell everybody's watching, check them out. Their content is awesome. It really is awesome. Every way you can get to them, like them, subscribe, share, whatever it is on that platform, do it, because this show can be something great. I really believe that. So, guys, you have anything else you want the people to know that they absolutely should know about Guns Out or your mission?
John, anything?
When you see me and Shermichael going at each other's top, it's real. We really do that in real life. Okay,
we do.
This is not for the show. We are really that competitive sometimes, and it gets fun. But no, man, we just honestly, we just want people to enjoy the content. We want people to new firearms owners, novice shooters, give us a shot, see what we're offering, because we think that we're offering something that's very inclusive. And will make the whole, like I said in our mission statement, the thought of a firearm less intimidating. Because once you remove that intimidation factor, you'd be surprised at how much you would enjoy it, relate to it, and even understand the nuances of what's going on in this 2A argument.
No, that's right. And Jared, we want people to know that they can grow with us. There are a lot of great pages out there, and people are really good at what they do. Some are current military or former military. Some are experts. And then you have some people who profess to be experts in everything. We do not profess to be experts in everything. And there are episodes where you will see you are going to grow and learn with us. I'll give you a prime example. I sucked at shooting with a red dot. I'm not going to lie, Jared. I sucked like hell. And you'll see me talk about it through various episodes about how much I hated shooting with dots because I just couldn't do it right. And finally, one of our episodes that's going to probably come out in a couple of weeks, we were with some folks. I finally figured it out and I got it. And there are so many people out there, Jared, as you know, if you look at message boards, you say, man, I'm still trying to find this. I can't quite figure it out. I know I shouldn't be chasing a dot, but it's still not quite working out for me. That's a lot of people out there. Shooting for a dot shooting with a dot is very different than focusing primarily only on that front sight. And so for people who are a little intimidated or maybe embarrassed, don't be embarrassed, because I had to learn it. And so I point out that example, Jared, to say it's a show where you don't have to feel intimidated. You can grow with us. If you don't know something, man, leave a message. And if we don't know, we're going to find somebody who knows and say, hey, this is what we were told. Check it out. And we want people to have that comfortability with us and knowing that these aren't guys who are going to pretend like they're experts in every single thing. These are guys who know what they know. They're growing, they're learning, and they want us to join them on this journey and grow together with them. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, man. Having a great time, learning together, and expanding the 2A movement to as many people as we possibly can. And again, Jared, meeting people like yourself, and I just have to say, and I know I've said this so many times via text, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate you for not even knowing who the heck we were, merely hearing the story and saying, you know what? I want to support these guys, because as I tell John all the time, my background's in politics. It doesn't happen like that often in politics, where people are going to say, if you're going through something, I'm going to stand by you. They're going to look at what the media reports are saying. They're going to look at the poll numbers and say, well, should I be attached to this person? Even if you're in the right, now this may mess up my reelection odds. So I'm used to that. And what I appreciate about the gun community writ large is people are saying, we are going to stand with you when you are wrong. And you did that for us, my brother. And I got to tell you, you have gained lifelong friends out of us for doing so. We both thank you for that.
I appreciate it, man.
100%.
Same here, man. We're all part of the same group. We're part of the same family. And when I say, if I can help you in any way, I mean it. Never be afraid to hit me up, man. Absolutely. I believe in what you guys are doing, and I'm going to do what I can to help you get to the end goal.
Thanks so much, Jared. We appreciate it, man. And thank you to your audience.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time. I know you guys are extremely busy, that celebrity movie star life. But
sure, Michael, definitely more than me.
Thanks, you guys, for your time. I really appreciate it. Everybody watching, check them out. Head over to all of their social media. Support them any way you can. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.